Hello. So I did see that someone wanted to know how to actually plan the Lavendaire workbook. So that is kind of, I wanted to do a unique way. Now, my Lavendaire workbook for some reason got lost in the mail. It was, I tried to contact Lavendaire about it, but for some reason their customer service isn't replying back to me in regards to where my package is. So unfortunately, I paid for a physical workbook, but have not received it. But fortunately, when you purchase a Lavendaire workbook, they also give you a digital version. So that's what I want to show you and how I complete the Artist of Life Workbook. So here we can see that we have the 2023 Artist of Life Workbook. I got I think it's like the rose colored one, which would have been pretty. So I'm just gonna scroll down. I've purchased these before, but they come with fun quotes that you can look back for inspiration. There is a table of contents of all the pages. And if this is your first time purchasing this workbook, it is a very helpful workbook. Actually gives you helpful advice on what you can do, what you can focus on, how to fill it out. This is my fourth workbook, my first digital copy, but so I don't really read through all of this. I do like the quotes. Okay, so here we are at Goodbye 2022. So this is a great time to actually find your prior 2022 year Artist of Life workbook. I have mine right here. But additionally, you can look at, if you journal, you can look at journal entries that you've made in the past in regards to your 2022 year in order to just reflect. So the first page, it takes you to 22 was the year that and you basically fill in all the prompts and questions. So this part I'm just going to work on my own, and you can, as I fill my own parts out, you can fill your parts out with me. If you could sum up your whole year, what would that year be? Okay, so for me, 22 was the year of relationships. And specifically patterns in relationships. So I'm just going to write that down here. You can even write more than one thing if you feel more than one big thing occurred. I mean, this is your workbook. So you can make it as clean and neat as you want, or you can make it messy. It can be literally word for word. Completing your workbook and the prompts, or you could make it have a more creative aspect where if you have the physical copy, you can of course put stickers or images or drawing or different colors or markers. So then here we're going to write down 22 highlights and accomplishments to be proud of. And here again, you can look in what you've already written for your 22 in regards to notes you've made throughout the year, or memories that you remember, things that you've accomplished, that you gave yourself the mission, your mission statement for the year. You actually accomplished, the goals that you made in the beginning of 2022 year, and then at the end you actually did accomplishment. And so big events, jobs or relationships, or just like anything that you feel was something big for you. So for me, I made the goal of getting at least 2 to 3 tattoos, which I did get. So I will say 2 to 3 tattoos and piercings. So this is literally, it can be anything you want it to be. Like, highlights and accomplishments is going to be different depending on what your goals were for the year anyway. So it's important to not compare yourself in your mind of like, oh, what are highlights and accomplishments to the regular person. I mean, if you set a goal and then you made that goal happen at the end of 2022, that is an accomplishment, because you told yourself, hey, I want to do this year, and then you made it happen. Another big thing for me was boundaries in relationships. The biggest thing for me in 2022, I can't speak, was definitely that in September of 2022, I decided to take a year to be sober. So that was definitely a big thing in regards to alcohol, as I realized I really had a hard time controlling my alcohol intake in regards to relational trauma. So I will say I have been committing because I actually, obviously I'm still sober, so it's been like 3 months, but yeah, that was a big decision to make. And also in boundary work, it's also a good practice to make boundaries for yourself in order to learn boundaries. Another big thing is I got back into filming art videos for YouTube and actually being consistent with it. So again, this is about setting those boundaries for yourself. So consistency is a boundary, because you're telling yourself, oh, this is a goal that I want for my future, and then consistently showing up for yourself. So I will say so you don't have to fill this whole thing out. I mean, there's been some years like I only did like a couple things, and some years I did a lot. It just gives you, I try to fill it out as much as possible, because then when you look back on it, it gives you an idea of how the years went by, because obviously our memory, we can remember the big events, but we can't remember all the small little details. So that's why I think having the 22 Artist of Life Workbook is really helpful. Like, I'm really disappointed that the customer service isn't that great as it used to be, but I think it's still helpful to even use the digital format. And you can even look at your bucket list that you made for the year. And for me, I like to like cross off or do a check mark when I've completed something, just to start, just to like give myself incentive that I've accomplished things throughout the year, and give me motivation. So this could be a good way to like go back and see what you actually accomplished in the year if you don't remember. So another thing, I actually filled out a full sketchbook, which is impressive. I will say I started learning Russian language. And these don't have to be like things you've completed. This could be like if you've because I think starting something is also an accomplishment. Starting something can be just as difficult as completing something, just getting yourself to do something. A big thing for me in 2022 was knowing my worth in relationships. Okay, so now we're going to scroll down and what worked in 2022. So this, you just want to name 3 or more wins, big or small. So now we're going to fill out what didn't work in 2022, and you want to name at least 3 mistakes, failures, and what good came from them. I think it's really good that she put that, because I think it can be really hard with mistakes and failures to like scrutinize ourselves. So it's good to put like why these things didn't work. You just like keep going through and just answering. These can be one word, or not one word, like one sentence. It doesn't have to be as detailed as I'm doing, but I just like being more detailed, just because I like going back and seeing how I had evolved as a person. Okay, so these are just like fun little moments you want to remember and cherish forever. Okay, scroll down. Yay! Now we're here at 2023. So you want to put a theme for 2023. So for the theme of my years, there's this thing in regards, it's in astrology, it's called your life year. So every year, and it gives you a numerology number and it gives you kind of like a way for you to start understanding your years astrologically or like in numerology. So like for instance, last year 2022 I had the life year of 6, which is basically family-based responsibility. So like what can I do to embody that? This year I put down, for last year I put down to like the themes with that number is like family, relationships. So it's like I wanted to attract the one. It was a way for me to evaluate relationships that I have with myself first. So self-love, look into idealism in relationships, which I do feel, looking at my full 2022 year, that I struggled with, when I would get into relationships because I had this like idealism, or there was something new, so I like jumped into the relationship not fully understand, and then like the consequences of that made me realize like it wasn't an authentic relationship, or how I got into it was inauthentic. So to do this, you basically take, so like your month of birth and your day of birth, and then you add it with the time of year. So my month of birth is September, my day of birth is the 27th, and then the year currently is 2023. So you would add all those numbers together, and then whatever number you come up with is your life theme for your year. Since my last year was life theme 6, my life theme this year is life theme 7, which is about deep inner work. And you can find your life theme on Google. And so for this, what I usually do is you can follow what she's written, but since I'm following the life themes, which I feel tend to like at the end of the year, I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense, that definitely did go through, because like the beginning, you're like, you can't see what your theme is. You can essentially write down like what you want your theme to be, but I just like, I had a hard time with that. So, and then I discovered a like astrological life theme, which I actually learned from Lavendaire. Okay, so for like my main goals and my mini goals, these are like my big projects. And then like the mini goals, so let's say continue to post weekly on YouTube, at least one video. And then mini goal would be to complete sketchbooks. I will say also to give myself space to actually fill out the sketchbooks. I will say to continue having a 9-to-5 job with passive income interests until I am able to work for myself as an artist. How I like to do is like, don't try to fill it out all at once, because throughout the month you might find inspiration or you might change your mind or something else will come up. So I definitely give myself space to like go back to. I know I didn't go intensely into it, but I just feel like if I tried to make a video about all of this, it would just be ridiculously long. And hope this is helpful for someone out there who's trying to fill out their Lavendaire Artist of Life Workbook for 2023.